Tuesday, it's Tom in the office for the first time in a couple of weeks, just for a while to check up on things. Of course, I wore my mask up here. Of course, I know that most of you, and I hope that the vast majority of you, are continuing your telework. But just please remember that if you do need to go into the office, please wear your mask into the building, and at least till you get to your desk. And then let's make sure we wash our hands frequently and wear the mask around the office or whenever you get up from your desk and walk around. I know it's not the most comfortable thing in the world, but it certainly gives a lot of psychological comfort, I think, to ourselves and those around us who I think we all, of course, are concerned about getting this virus. So let's keep each other safe. Of course, one of the big things on today's talk needs to be about the budget cuts. We, of course, submitted last week a plan to cut our 21 budget, that begins in July, by 14%. We've already had conversations with the Senate, with Chairman Tillery. We'll be having conversations with the House, with Chairman Terry England and Chairman Katie Dempsey about the issues that we face. And I think they are all very understanding that we're in a difficult situation. We, of course, have proposed at least 12 to 18 furlough days between now and the end of the year. We continue to hope that the federal government will give us some assistance, and we will, of course, continue to work to find alternatives. But our main mission has to be to maintain our workforce as much as possible, to make sure that we have the people necessary to do this work. So we have, of course, cutting some contracts. We're trying to avoid layoffs as much as possible, of course. We've eliminated some empty positions, and we are relying on furloughs because if the economy improves or if the federal government gives us some assistance, we can very quickly stop those furloughs or slow down those furloughs. One of the things that many of you know we're looking at is the potential to close some county offices. This will not mean that we are not serving every county. We will continue to have personnel assigned to every county in the state. We have an obligation to have a DFACS presence in every county of the state. The question, of course, is what does that presence look like? And we believe that in some of our rural areas, we might be able to serve our residents just as well while saving some money on overhead by having more of a hub and spoke system in which we would have a central office in one county that would serve that county plus some surrounding counties. And we, of course, can arrange to have shared space or free space in those other counties so that our employees can serve those people and have the infrastructure necessary. We also, of course, anticipate that this teleworking, which has been proven very successful, will continue. And we also anticipate, of course, that the great work that our eligibility staff have been doing will continue through the use of our online gateway system, through the use of our telephonic applications, through the use of technology. So we will continue to let you know how that goes. We're going to be completely transparent both with you and with our legislators about the cost of each county office. And together we'll make that decisions, collaborating with our elected representatives in the General Assembly and with the governor's office. I want to remind everybody of just a couple of details. We have the performance management evaluations due May 29th. If you have, please complete these for all your direct reports. And if you have any questions about that, please contact the folks at HR. We are finishing up, of course, National Foster Care Month, and there's another special. May is also, I think every month has its different theme depending on what area you work in. And my friends down at Care Partners Georgia, down in the Swainsboro, Georgia area, reminded me that May is also National Mental Health Month. And I'm going to get Ramirez to put a little shot of the celebratory slide on the screen. And I don't want the month to get away without remembering that. Remember that DFACS, in addition to being a child welfare agency, is often called upon to be a mental health agency for children. Many of the children and youth we deal with have suffered significant trauma. Many of them, of course, have come into our care sometimes because their parents are not able to address their mental health needs. Some of them have experienced such abuse or neglect that they've developed a mental health issue. Some of them have developmental disabilities such as autism. And while we as an agency may not be the primary agency responsible for these issues, it's our job to try to collaborate as much as possible with our other agencies that serve this same population. I was just on a call, sort of a Zoom call, with the Behavioral Health Reform Commission. It's Subcommittee on Mental Health in the Courts. And so we got to hear from the Department of Community Supervision, which does, of course, the probation and parole, and of course the Department of Juvenile Justice. And what I heard from them is a lot of the same issues. They have one of their smaller but more vulnerable and needy populations, you might say, are those who have severe and persistent mental health issues. And so I just want to remind all of us that mental health is something that is not the source, not the job of one agency. We've all got to be working together, and especially in this time when each of the agencies will be very likely seeing significant budget cuts, we're going to have to collaborate even more closely to keep these children and youth with developmental disabilities and with mental health issues in their own communities and in their own homes. And so it will take really a cooperation and collaboration between local resources, between our caseworkers, between mental health caseworkers and the local mental health providers, and sometimes, of course, with our friends at DJJ. Also, June coming up is going to be National Reunification Month, and this theme this year is strengthening families together. We'll talk in the next couple of weeks about great stories of reunification. Remember that reunifying families is it's really a large bulk of our work. It's keeping families together and then fixing a family's problem or helping the family fix their own problem and then getting that child back to the family. I want to highlight something. Recently we had two siblings in Fulton County, and a young woman reached out to one of our state office employees and said she hadn't seen her younger brother in more than 5 years. And I think what happened was this child had come into care. I guess the sister had lost touch. But thanks to thanks to her reaching out, and thanks to the work of our staff, we were actually able to reconnect that young man with his sister. And that's the beauty of our work, is that if we continue to reach out and look for family members who can help, if we continue to be proactive, then a lot of times we can, in fact, keep that family together or reunify that family. So I want to thank all the folks who worked on that, and thank all of you who are working on the issues of reunification. Tomorrow is the last day for the child welfare staff to complete the COVID-19 workforce needs assessment. Please remember to fill this out, because it will help us as we develop what our workforce looks like at DFACS over the next coming years. If you have any questions about it, you can email Shauna Rinks at Denver University, and we'll get Ramirez to put her email address on the screen. Just want to remind everybody that we're continuing to do great work in our eligibility section in terms of issuing benefits. We'll issue an additional $77 million in pandemic SNAP benefits at the end of this month, really this coming week. And we're also very happy that the USDA has authorized online purchasing, and that should start up fairly soon. They're running some tests on the machine, on the system, but basically it means that, especially for those who are on food stamps, but who may not, maybe the kind of folks who shouldn't go out of their home, they may be disabled, may not be able to get out, they may be more vulnerable to the virus, that they can, like many of us do, order from, for example, Amazon or Walmart online, do their transaction with their EBT card online, and have it delivered to their home. So that's a great leap forward, I believe. I'm so very proud of all the folks at DFACS who are continuing to work hard during this time. It is a difficult time. It is no doubt about it. We of course have the additional burdens of serving people during this time, whether it's in child welfare or in all the additional work associated with eligibility, while working from home, while being concerned about our own health. And now that things are opening up, we're also seeing the economic effects of having been shut down for 6 weeks or 2 months. And so, but I promise you, we'll get through this, and things will get better. And I appreciate your continuing to bear with your leadership here at the state office. Please continue to send me ideas. We'll try to answer every question you can as we go along. But we want to make sure that you understand that if you work with this agency or you work for this agency, you're the folks who are doing the work that we're called to do on behalf of the vulnerable families of Georgia. And we want you to feel supported in that work. And no question is out of line. Just ask your questions, send me your questions, send me your comments, and I promise you we'll address them. But thanks. We will keep you informed, and we appreciate what you're doing. See you next week.